Greetings, peace and long life to all you humans of planet Earth. I am Mr. Smock, Cultural Officer from Vulcan. Now at the Outpost, Malaysia, together with Vincent, a local Transformer hardcore fan, to present this unboxing of Transformers Titan's Return Fortress Maximus. Vincent, if I am to understand correctly in my study of Transformer lore, which relates to these transforming alien robot life forms from another planet, Fortress Maximus is to quote a Middle East dictator from the 90s, the mother of all Transformer toys out there. Am I correct?
I believe that was Metroplex, but Fortress Maximus is of a similar size.
So tell us about Fortress Maximus and what is his place in Transformer lore?
Oh, okay, so this is where it gets a bit confusing. The Transformer cartoon series is based on a series of toys by Takara, a Japanese company. What happened was Hasbro, they visited a Takara booth during a toy convention back in the 80s, and then they were impressed with the toys, and they proposed Takara with the idea that how about we make a cartoon series based on your toys so we can sell more toys. That is pretty much, as you realize by now, that's pretty much how Hasbro operates. They make movies or cartoons about your toys and then they try to sell you the toys. So I would say most of you watching this would already know the G1 series, which is the best Transformer series ever. But this is where it gets a bit confusing because Fortress Maximus, he actually appears in two series, because after G1 ended season 4, basically the Japanese, they kind of disregard season 4, like basically, okay, by the end of season 3, basically Hasbro decided to kind of end the series, so they created a 3-part mini-series called The Rebirth. The Japanese decide to not go with the idea and they created their own 35 episode to continue the series. So, to the Japanese, the series is called The Headmaster. That's also where Fort Max characters show up. Confusingly, in the US version, the Rebirth 3 episode, there's Fort Max too. They are essentially the same character, but the origins are kind of different. Let's start with the US origin. In the US origin, what happened was the Autobots, they landed on this planet called Nebulos. And in Nebulos, this alien humanoid species, they are fighting a civil war with a bunch of machines or something. And they are smart people, they're guerrilla fighters, but what they lack is firepower. And the Autobots, they have firepower, but the Autobots, they are not native, so they had trouble fighting the enemy. So the plan proposed was that the Nebulos and the Transformer, they combine so that they could work more efficiently together to defeat the enemy. So what was proposed was that it was actually proposed by Brainstorm, one of the, you all will know him as one of the headmasters, so he was like a scientist. So what happened was he proposed an idea where their head would be removed and be converted into bodies for the Nebulos, so that in a battle, they can combine and then they can efficiently fight an enemy, basically combining brains and bronze.
Sort of like a techno-organic assimilation akin to the Borg transforming yourself into a mechanism where your body is distorted and then becomes the head of a giant robot.
I guess that's one way to put it, although to be fair, unlike Borg where you're essentially a slave, the headmaster, they do have a say, it's a symbiotic relationship where both are supposed to benefit from this. And of course, Fortress Maximus is one of it, and Spike is the one that is supposed to combine. Because the head that forms Fortress Maximus is called Cerebros, and Cerebros was not a headmaster then, you see. So the process that combined him with Spike is what turned him into the head that could combine with Fortress Maximus. Basically, they found old alien technology that allowed them to convert CDs into robots. Yeah.
So for G1 or Generation 1 fans, you may all be quite aware of this and possibly it's a certain nostalgia of the 1980s, which might taste well or it may not, depending on your take of this American series of the Headmasters.
Yeah. But my favorite is actually the Japanese series because I think they did it better. The Japanese series, it differs in the sense that the Headmaster are Transformer, but they are tiny robots and they crash landed. I don't know what's with the series with crash landing on another planet, but they crash landed on a very harsh planet where their tiny body could barely survive the environment. So what they did was they built bigger, stronger body called Transector that allows them to combine and survive the harsh environment. That's the Japanese idea of the Headmaster, which I prefer by far. And the beauty of the Japanese series is that it brought us two more series that continue the story. After Headmaster, there was Master Force, and then Master Force, there was Victory. But that's a story for another day.
But just to be clear, these stories were not based on Earth, which traditionally is where all the Transformers adventures takes place.
Actually, it did take place on Earth and Interplanet. Headmaster definitely took place on Earth. Master Force took place on Earth. In Master Force, there was actually a bunch of kids called Headmaster Junior that was given the power of the Transector. Basically, they can transform into Headmaster with their own cars and bodies.
So in the Transformer saga, I guess we will say that there is a divergence of two different alternate timelines, one of which is arguably the Americanized Prime timeline had this story of the Nebulos and so on. The Japanese timeline had story in another alternate reality, yet featuring the same giant robots.
Yes.
Let's jump ahead. This humongous box for Fortress Maximus is now labeled as Titan's Return. So could you tell our audience what is Titan's Return and how does this relate now to Fortress
Okay,
Maximus?
basically Titan Returns, they are the new toy line, Transformer toy line by Hasbro. This continues from Combiner War, which was the previous toy line. So Combiner War, as the name implies, focus on combiners. So once that line has completed the run, they came up with Titan Returns, which is actually a very good line. They definitely feature characters that were Headmasters from the series like Hardhead, Brainstorm, Chrome Dome.
Very much the classic Generation 1 characters, but shall we say relaunched in another alternate timeline?
Yeah, one could say that because they actually took characters that were traditionally not Headmaster and they turned into Headmaster. I mean, Optimus Prime is a Headmaster, Hot Rod is a Headmaster, Blur, Cop, pretty much any character you can think of has become a Headmaster.
And what was the basis of that story this time of them having smaller robots? Are the Headmasters, are they humans or are they smaller robots combining to bigger robots?
Essentially, okay. We need to go back one step. Combiner War was also turned into a short mini-series animation. It's about 10 minutes-ish, about 8 to 10 episodes. So it's basically to complement the toy line, so to speak.
They are toy commercials.
Yeah, glorified toy commercial, that's very true. So what happened was in Combiner War, the story, as the name implies, is about combiners just fighting, wrecking havoc on the city. And Titan Returns is actually a continuation. What happened at the end of Combiner War? Spoiler alert. If you don't want to know, you turn away now. Like, this is your chance.
Spoiler.
Yeah, like
3, 2, 1. You've been warned.
Okay. So what happened at the end of Combiner? Actually, what happened in Combiner War was that Starscream, being Starscream, he betrayed. He was actually working with Autobot. How they came to, I'm not so sure. He's like an ambassador, Starscream or something. But Starscream is Starscream, you know. If he doesn't betray someone, he's not Starscream. So as expected, he betrayed them. He took the Matrix of leadership, and somehow he became a combiner. It's a bit complicated. I didn't quite watch the whole series, but what happened was at the end he was defeated. He's supposed to be dead, but then there was a twist in Titan Return. So he's not dead. He has become Trypticon. I don't know how that happened, but he's basically Trypticon, that big giant dinosaur. So now they have to figure out a way to fight the Titans. Titans, they're called Titans because they're supposed to be very big. They are like CD bots. So they are bigger than any combiner. I mean, you think a combiner is big, wait till you see a Titan. Even the toy are not quite scaled correctly because by right, it should probably, the toys are like maybe combiner here, Titan Return here. In the series, it should be like combiner here, probably Titan Return. city.
Entire city kilometers
Yeah.
all.
So basically what Titan Return series trying to do is that, they are basically trying to figure out a new way to fight the new threat. So with the Titans and somehow becoming headmaster is supposed to help them combat the new threat. To be honest, because the series is on this very weird platform Go90 that isn't available in this region, so I'm just watching snippets that's available on YouTube, and this is basically what I'm able to piece together so far.
Alright, so let's get on to talking specifically about this oversized toy. As Vincent would like to say, are these adult toys? Your form of adult toys?
Yes, adult toys for adults.
Way too large for small children.
Oh, definitely, this thing is huge. I actually got one, but I had to sell mine because there's no space for it. Wow, it's huge. This is one of the biggest Transformer toy ever made, no doubt.
So before we pull it out of the packaging, perhaps you could say a bit about what are the forms which take place of Fortress Maximus. And I see, of course, there's a city mode, there's robot heads and
Battlestation.
so forth. So perhaps you could
Yeah,
say a few things before we bring him out.
basically, Fortress Maximus, I guess technically you could call him a triple changer. So he has his robot mode, he turns into a base. Although one must note that this version of Fortress Maximus, the base mode, is not quite exactly the same as the original toy. It's slightly different. There is a fan mode that allows you to emulate the look, but it wasn't an official, it's not an official transformation. So yeah, he turns to CD mode, robot mode, and I guess you would call this like a carrier battle station, battle chip, because basically he would fly and yeah. There is one thing missing from the Hasbro version that was unfortunate, because Fortress Maximus has a sword, that big ass sword. I guess it's kind of like their version of an Excalibur. Because when they want to transform to Fortress Max, Cerebros, the tiny robot that became the head, who had to pull this smaller sword from it's like this. It's stuck on something. Yeah. So he has to pull it out before he can initiate giant robot mode. Very Japanese when you think about it. So, and then of course after he transformed, he has an even bigger ass sword, which unfortunately has brought omit. The SDCC version does come with it, and Takara version, just not the standard release.
So this is the standard release, correct?
Yes.
And in all forms anyway, the real gimmick here is you have a smaller robot. It's a robot, not a human.
Yes.
Okay, which becomes the head of a medium-sized robot.
Okay, sorry. Technically, in the US continuity, it is a human. This is supposed to be Spike.
In this, and in Titan's Return, it is...
Yeah, in Titan's Return, the Spike part wasn't mentioned.
So the medium-sized robot, and because the giant robot is so big, it needs to become the head of the giant robot.
Yes. So it's a head in a head. Wow, this is some Inception stuff. Huh?
Head master.
Yes.
Okay, is this a fresh toy mold, or is this
good
a
question.
version of, I understand Metroplex came out prior to this?
Yes. Good question. It reuses parts from Metroplex. I believe part of the legs are based on Metroplex. The crotch piece, yes. The hands, I believe, are not Metroplex.
But most importantly, is it a same transformation sequence, but
very similar,
made to look different?
Very similar. I would say maybe they reuse about 40% of the mold, 40 to 50. But to be honest, they look different. Even though you put them next to each other, they look different enough that it doesn't feel like the same mold.
Okay.
Especially the upper half is totally different.
So you could safely say collect both Metroplex and Fortress Maximus and still feel that they are different robots and not simply same recolored robot with different accessories.
I mean, Hasbro, to their credit, they went the distance a bit with this, because they are notoriously known for just repainting and pop a new head and it's a new figure. At least they re-engineered most of the parts so that it's a new character.
Alright, let's get to opening this up and seeing what's inside.
Oh, I think it's upside down.
Okay. release Fortress Maximus
From his prison.
from freedom.
Ooh, look at the size of that thing. Yes.
So, as many humans are prone to say size does matter.
Yes, in this case, size doesn't matter. Although I still believe motion of the ocean is more important.
So, first impressions. If you are a lazy Transformer fan, it already comes in robot mode, so no further action required.
Precisely.
If you need it to base mode, then I believe there are some instructions, and I see decals as well.
Oh yeah, for more detail. For the toy look, so to speak.
Okay. Any initial comments?
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember now. So one of the arms is assembled because of the box size. So I guess there's no way to fit everything into a practical size box without removing the hand. So once you pop this in, apparently it can never be removed again. So there is a slight drawback there. That means once you complete him, you can never put him back in the box again. So that might be some issue when transporting. And yeah, he basically comes with most of his feature from his original U1 toy. I mean, like the legs, they are cannons. There's that landing pad for like a
okay.
helicopter.
There will be a better look once we free him from his restraints. Perhaps you might open this briefly and just say a few things on what's included. I'm sure instructions to be followed. And with most things, it's always good practice to read the instructions first.
Of course. Okay, very big instruction sheet. So
just hold it up for viewers.
Okay. So robot mode is two-sided. They teach you how to transform from robot to Battlestation, and then from there Battlestation to city mode. So yeah, pretty detailed manual, and the transformation, despite the size, don't let it intimidate you. It's actually fairly simple. It looks like a 10-step transformation from robot to battleship. Okay.
And there are decals.
Yeah, decals is probably gonna take a bit of time. There is a lot, and
are they required? I mean, let's say with reference to your previous collection before you had to.
Honestly, I typically don't apply the decal, mainly because over time they would come off. Like how old Transformer toy, I think by now all the decals would have slipped off by now. So I tend to just leave them in the box. They look fine. Okay, maybe I will just stick the Autobot logo, because a Transformer is not a Transformer until they have an Autobot or Decepticon insignia. So maybe that's just the only two I will stick. The rest I won't bother. To be fair, if you like the toy look, then you should stick the decals. But if you like the animation look, then it's fine, because the animation is fairly simple without much detail, and some people just like that look, like me. G1 for the win.
If I were to compare this in the Star Trek universe, I would say Fortress Maximus is akin to a starbase transforming into a giant robot.
I don't watch enough Star Trek to get that reference. Because in Star Wars, we don't really have transforming
stuff. Death Star transforming into a giant robot?
Funny you bring that up, because there was a toy where it's a Star Wars crossover with Transformer, and I think there was a Darth Vader toy where, was it a Death Star or was it a TIE Fighter? I don't remember.
It was both.
Really?
There were two versions. There was a TIE Fighter version and a Death Star version.
Is that Abomination? Let's not talk about it.
Should it? I think it would complement perfectly well in a battle against Fortress Maximus. Or no, more suitably Unicron.
We have Death Star, we
Death Star.
We don't really need to transform, you see.
But Unicron would eat.
But before Unicron gets there,
But you can dodge. That's a debate for another day, but that's a great fan debate, isn't it?
Yes.
Darth Vader transforming Death Star versus Unicron. Who will win?
It will be the battle of the ages.
Okay.
James Earl Jones versus Orson Welles, who has the better voice.
So now we're going to free Fortress Maximus from its restraints, and we'll be back in a flash. Welcome back. So we've just released Fortress Maximus from his restraints, and this is what comes out of the packaging. There is Fort Max, essentially 90% of his body, an arm which is to be connected. Just slap it in,
yes.
Correct?
Yeah. Yes. It's never coming out ever again.
A piece of where
it's like a landing pad. It goes here. Okay.
And this one's removable.
I think it's not all the way in. It's not supposed to be removable once it's all in.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay. And now Vincent is tinkering with the head, which shall we just snap it on first, and then everyone can take a look how it looks like.
Okay, I think it's not quite sitting correctly. Oh, okay. Okay, yes, it's sitting correctly now.
So, the head has a name.
Cerebros.
And the head of the head?
Spike.
Okay. We didn't mention earlier that the instructions will come with this little stat card of Fortress Maximus, and it has his robot stats, which essentially is the maximum of everything you can get for strength, power, and whatever not.
Over 9,000!
It says 20.
It's a Dragon Ball reference. You should check that out next, my alien friend.
Does I recall that some of the toys whereby when you slap the head on, it releases some stats, and it relates to this stat card. Or old generation one.
It's a G1 toy gimmick where headmasters, you put the head in and it would come up with stats. And the gimmick was a different head you put it would give you different stat. Unfortunately, the gimmick did not carry over to the Titan return line. That would be my only complaint, because as a kid I thought it was pretty cool. You know, and then you'd be bragging with your friends like, oh, you see, I have better stats than you know, like who has the bigger dick. But, well, they didn't carry it over.
So do the heads actually unlock anything now with the current series? I mean, is it like a key to allowing you to transform the robot or anything? Or it actually has no bearing whatsoever? Basically,
the idea with the different stat was that putting different head is supposed to give you different ability. So, you know, for example, maybe Optimus has high intelligence and power but less speed. But let's say you plug in Hot Rod, maybe he has more speed but he has less power.
And no wisdom.
Yes, because he's an idiot who got Optimus Prime killed.
So are the heads interchangeable?
Yes. For the leader class, Voyager and Deluxe Toy, yes, they are all interchangeable. But you can, when this is Cerebros, yes, the heads are interchangeable with Spike head, but obviously they can't turn into a head to plug here. So,
if I recall from Generation 1 lore, each of these giant city bots had an alter ego Decepticon Nemesis. And Metroplex Nemesis was Tripticon, and Fortress Maximus was its Scorponok?
Yes, Scorponok.
And is there a Scorponok equivalent toy which transforms to a giant scorpion city side?
Not official, third party, yes. I believe it was by Make Toys. Yeah, but nothing official yet.
So for now, Fortress Maximus stands
alone
and supreme and has no nemesis.
Which is always sad because in Transformer, you know, we want to fight.
Okay, so before we experiment, shall we say something about his articulation? Yeah, actually it is much lighter than what we may expect of a robot this size. But of course, this is all plastic nowadays with current toys, are they not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the 80s where there's die cuts and every damn thing.
Okay, so I see that he's got fairly good arm articulation. Is he able to do live long and prosper?
Not really. Not. But he can do what we call the finger. Yeah.
Okay, so that's for arm articulation. Does he not have any blasters? As you said, there's no sword included in this.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate omission. The original toy does have a blaster, but not this. Even the Takara one did not come with a blaster. There's another unfortunate omission in that the original G1 toy, he has like hip cannon, which would flip out from the side, but I guess due to cost cutting or limitation in reusing a Metroplex mold, that feature wasn't included. Although there was a third-party company, Perfect Effect, that releases add-ons for it.
So there are non-sanctioned, or shall I say non-licensed manufacturers out there which purposely make accessories to, how should I say, enhance the standard product to a level which suits our friends' adult collectible.
Yes. Oh, I mean, and some of them are really good, like the one released for Fortress Max. Other than adding hip guns, they even sell the sword and the blaster, and the leg, they actually gave it ankle articulation. This is actually a really nice figure, a lot of detail, very well engineered, and for the price, an absolute steal. But I guess due to cost cutting, it doesn't have ankle articulation, which is, you see. So if you want it to have a wider stance, okay, it doesn't really work on a wider stance, unfortunately.
Okay.
It has limited ratchet, you see.
It does not have any knee joints?
It has. Okay. Okay, the ratchets are not very good. So you can't really do like a slightly wider stance that's more heroic. Yeah, there aren't knee articulation.
Okay, he can do stand forward stance.
Yeah, I guess he could take a knee.
Take an elbow in the knee.
Okay.
But there is no feet articulation, is there? So it's a bit hard to modify that particular stance.
So unfortunately, it's really a figure that looks best standing straight. Although third party did release upgrades for the ratchet so that there's more range of motion. Absolutely a must get if you buy this, honestly, just to enhance the figure.
The walking stance looks fairly decent if it actually stands.
It does balance fairly well because of the wide feet.
Okay, so we have fairly good, shall we say, arm articulation, including fingers, although we was not able to do the Vulcan.
And you can turn the head. There is some limited head articulation. So yeah. Okay.
And we shall return them to the default stance, which is more safe.
Yes.
Okay. Any other remarks?
Well, I mean, if you're a fan of Headmaster series, and especially Fort Max, it's definitely worth getting. If you can find a good deal for the Hasbro, go for it. If not, I would say try to get the SDCC version or the Takara version. At least it comes with a sword, the Master Sword, which I think is very crucial for this character.
I mean, the standard retail price of this adult toy is,
I think it was about 880 back then at Toys R Us.
880 ringgit in Malaysia. Whereas the alternative of buying the additional sword from other sources is how much?
I believe they cost like 120.
So for a total of 1,000 ringgit, you should be sort of able to complete your Fortress Maximus with weapons.
And you see, this is the funny thing, the Takara version costs 800 bucks and it comes with a sword. So that's that.
Okay, so given an option, you would recommend fans to get hold of the Takara Tomy version?
Personally, yes, because I think it's a better value for money. But from my understanding, hanging out in Transformer forum, I think more people prefer this because because Americans especially, they are more attached to this, mainly because this is one thing I forgot to mention. In the US continuity, the head is spiked. The head sculpt is actually totally different from the Japanese version. It's a totally different looking head. So fans of the American series would be more attached to this because of Spike, because of the different head. While fans of the Japanese version like me would prefer the other head.
Oh, it's very good. So it depends on your preference of which Transformer timeline you are have more feelings towards.
And they are essentially different characters, you see. So that means the way it's written, so it's really depending on your attachment to which version of the character.
Great. Vincent, should you like to pull off the head and do things to it?
Yes, there's actually some lines, so yeah, let's just remove the head and...
Lines meaning there is actually some electronics in this product, and to get that working, Vincent has to remove Fortress Maximus head and install batteries.
So yeah, I'm gonna transform him, right? Because you need to do some minor transformation to access the battery hatch. So okay. Okay, legs.
I'm assuming you, as a Transformer hardcore expert, you do not need too much reference to instructions and could almost do this as the back of your hand. Fortress Maximus, according to the packaging, uses 2 AAA batteries, which seem just kind of large for a toy that size. But we shall see.
I'm not sure what's the Hasbro and screw for the battery compartment. It's very annoying. Okay, so this is Cerebros. Transform. The head before it becomes a head, you see. Okay, this is essentially a, I guess, Voyager class figure, a new Voyager. Pretty decently articulated. I mean, yes, elbow joints, knee. Can get pretty decent pose out of it. He has a bit of a backpack, but he's also a head, so.
So, life forms on Cybertron generally have a robot mode and ultimate transform mode. I would say this particular robot has a fairly useless alternate mode as a head if the body is not around.
Obviously he's more like a leader, a military tactical commander, so it's not so much of a fighter in the battlefield. So at least in the Japanese continuity, they summon him when they really need the big guns, you see, to turn the tide of the battle.
So
yes, he.
All Transformers.
They have gender, so it's he. There's female Transformer line even.
Cerebro has also a head which transforms
into Spike.
And
as you will know, Spike is the son of Daniel.
There you go. I'm sure it's a bit small for our viewers, but here's the head of a head of a head.
Hey, wait, sorry. Daniel is the son of Spike. Sorry, got it the other way around. Haha.
So this is Spike.
This is Spike. That means the father of the kid that Hot Rod was taking care of fishing in the movie.
And in the Japanese version, what is the name of this character?
Maximus.
Maximus.
Pretty sure it's
Fortress.
Maximus. Wait, okay, that
Is
is
it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Maximus. Because you see, in the series, the head, the body, they are really the same people, just that without the body, they are smaller Transformer. So when they combine, you see they're still the same character, just in a bigger body. It's Maximus. Yes.
So noting that we would basically never see a headless Fortress Maximus with Cerebro around, correct? This form only takes place when he's ready to become a head for the general one.
Yes.
So let's make him into what would be his city mode?
Yes.
Or is the process such that according to the instructions we need to transform him to Battlestation mode before city mode?
Well, it seems like you need to start with, you need to go from robot to battleship first.
Battleship, so it's a boat.
Flying boat, so to speak.
Flying boat. It's a flying
Battlestation, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, could kind of have the head. I mean, let's just show off the head a bit. Oh yeah, you did. Okay, so this is supposed to be Spike.
It's really small.
Yeah, it's
really
tiny. So yeah, it's fairly detailed sculpt. I mean, as detailed as it gets for a tiny head, you know. So
shoulder articulation.
yeah, minimal articulation.
Minimal articulation. Basically, you can have him sit down there.
Okay, so let's put the head aside while we transform this. Okay. Okay, let's put the hand back to default. Okay, this needs to be flipped out, is it?
I just discovered sound.
Yes, there is sound. We totally forgot to talk about that.
Okay, let's do that after you get Battlestation on.
Okay. Both hands up. Okay. Just keep it locked. Okay, it should lock. Okay, lock. Okay. Now we need to lie it flat. That way, turn this down. This is supposed to be the RAM. So I'm going to flip this lid. Okay, at least we know the joints are tight.
We've successfully transformed Fortress Maximus into his Battlestation mode. If you don't think too closely, it sort of looks like the robot lying on his back, staring at the sky and flying straight forward. But anyway, to understand it in Japanese and the animation, it's literally a flying battle station which somehow does goes around.
Yeah, it floats around all the time.
Battle station.
Maybe somewhere it parked itself in the desert or something. Yeah.
Okay. So Cerebro does still play part of the head. It becomes like a building tower, and it still has now sound effects. Cerebro. Firing sound effects. I do not know what that is. Sounds like some squirry, whiny sound followed by a
I don't remember the series recognize the sound.
Okay, Spike, it's Spike, yes,
Yes.
it is. Spike also plays a small part. He has actually like a seating area here.
This gun turret.
And yeah, a gun turret.
So to lay waste to Decepticons.
So this is Battlestation mode.
Yes.
And we will show you magic in a moment in transforming him to
CD mode.
Shall we?
Yes. That's it.
City mode.
Yes, this is city mode.
We think about it, Fort Max does a split and he becomes city mode. There is a hangar bay, landing pads, and Spike in his little command or turret module. There's no changes in the sound effects. So the other option that comes about is this works also as a playset.
Yes.
And there are other robot toys along the line. You said
Power Master
Optimus
Prime,
Blaster.
Autobot Blaster, leader class from the Titan Return. Yes, they have their own base mode which could be linked up.
Then you have a giant sort of city which you can easily see takes up our table and becomes giant playground for little robots like or little
or you could put deluxe class figure here, you know.
Deluxe or
standing
what
around.
is the one Legends class?
Or Legend class, maybe that they could park themselves here. Yeah, pretty much that's it. They could stand here, you see, defending the city.
Robot city.
Yes, Autobot city.
Okay, shall we have a quick change and we can see the sequence back into robot mode?
Yes, very simple. So we do reverse everything. We unsplit his leg.
You can see at the speed that Vincent is going about this, it's really a very simple transformation sequence. And that's all.
Pretty much. I need to open here. Yes, so let's plug it in.
So in robot mode, Fortress Maximus has a few alternative sound effects. Vincent, perhaps you can demonstrate?
Yes, so if you press the chest, yes.
He shouts his own name, Fortress Maximus.
I think it's like powering up more. You can see the eye lights up. He shouts his name again. Fire. He warned that the Decepticon is here.
So that's about 3 to 4 different sound cues for each mode. This keeps it mildly exciting. So Vincent, any last words about Fortress Maximus?
Well, I mean,
is it a must-have toy for every true Transformer toy collector?
I mean, just for size alone, it's quite a decent buy. It's definitely one of the biggest Transformer they've made so far. And
compared to the original generation one, Fortress Maximus, are they the same size or does that?
They're actually pretty close. Very, very close. I think they're pretty much the same size.
Okay. Thank you very much. We hope you found this unboxing video productive. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for future reviews as well as movie reviews on pop geek culture products. Vincent has next would like to talk about more of his adult toys. You have a big gun coming, don't you?
Yes, our favorite Decepticon.
Megatron will be making an appearance. Next. Stay tuned for that. So thank you very much for watching. Live well and prosper, or was more aptly said, more than meets the eye.
Robots in disguise.